We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. We are ready for another week of what's going on in Canada. Before that, let's get into it. Upcoming dates this Friday, September 5th in Tofield, Alberta for a fundraiser for the Tofield satellites to get the satellites back skating. September 18th in Red Deer, Alberta with Jason Rouse. September 22nd in Edmonton with Jason Rouse. September 24th in Vaughan, Saskatchewan with Jason Rouse. October 3rd, Fernie, BC. October 4th, Castlegar. October 10th, Cambridge, Ontario. October 11th, Toronto, Ontario. October 12th, Albuquerque, New Mexico. October 17th, Berwyn, Alberta. October 18th, Grand Prairie, Alberta. October 19th, Edmonton, Alberta. October 24th, 25th, Niagara Falls. November 7th in Lethbridge, just added. November 8th in Medicine Hat, Alberta. November 23rd in Dallas, Texas. November 29th in Fort Worth, Texas. December 5th in Red Deer. April 17th and 18th in Kelowna, British Columbia. All those dates available at dangercatshop.com, patreon.com/dangercat69 to support this podcast. Now that we got that out of the way, I hope you are all doing well and keeping your homes safe. I know there needs to be a PSA out there that we can all get behind. And before we get in, we're going to watch the police chief here. I hope that your week is going well. You know, see, in Canada, a lot of people don't realize this. When you move here, you have to comply. That's that's why lockdowns in the nation were as drastic as they were, because that's the Canadian way. We just comply with the rules. That, like, if the sign says you can't be smoking within 10 feet of the, and you just say, okay, yeah, you're right, I can't be smoking 10 feet within. But some people like to break the rules, and we don't like those people. We want those people in jail. We want them living a life of misery and going through pain and agony and going through hell. You need to go to hell if you don't listen to the rules and laws of this country, okay? And not even that. And that isn't even pertaining to any specific individuals. That's just for everybody, okay? Comply. If it says no shoes, no shirt, no service, you listen. You listen to those rules. You can't be a rebel in this present time. It is so, it is fun for me right now describing Canadian law to Americans because they can't comprehend the level of, I guess, compliance. They cannot comprehend just the pussification, I guess, of what takes place up here. And I understand it's difficult to explain it as a Canadian to them at times and just be like, that's just the way it is, right? But you bring it up to them and you listen to their reaction. That's the funniest part to me, because their amendments give them the rights to do certain things, and their laws are certain ways. Like you have the castle laws. You can protect your castle. You can shoot somebody for being on your property, and the state just goes, you know what? You were on his property. Where if you have a weapon in your hand when somebody breaks into your home here, you're going to jail, and as you should. What are you doing? Grow up. Give the guy the stuff that he wants. You worked hard for that guy to have those things. Those are nice things, and he deserves them more than you. You don't appreciate them as much as he did. Now, it takes him roughly, I don't know, to draw up a plan is probably 5-10 minutes of sitting there with your friends and being like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to bum rush that house. We're going to kick the front door in and steal all of their items. I believe that this guy is worth a pretty penny. He does have a very luxurious car in the garage, which we're going to take. That's our escape plan. I need you to drop me off, and then I'll kick in the door. I'll go in, wave in the fofo. All I heard was, Papa, don't hit me no mo. And you take those items and you use them. It's called like prolonged borrowing here in Canada. It's a way of tradition. It's not stealing. It's not theft. They're just borrowing for a really long time. You know? That's all that is. But we have a very interesting way of addressing it. Now let's look at the article here that was the first one. Police release new details about deadly Vaughan home invasion. This is very sad, okay? This is very sad. There's nothing really to joke about this. It's disheartening to know that Canada is turning into a place where home invasions are are almost a part of our culture at this point in time. Every week, I imagine we can go into the crime section of CTV News, and it would be littered with something similar to this article. Maybe not as drastic as what is in this article, but there is a few of these happening, and it does not seem to be going away anytime soon. Here we have it. Police have released new details about the deadly shooting of a father of four during a home invasion in Vaughan over the weekend. The incident occurred around 1 a.m. on August 31st at a home near Andretta Drive and Barron Street in the Kleinburg area. At the news conference on Wednesday, police revealed that at least 3 male suspects forced their way into the home through a rear door, then shot the victim after he confronted them inside the residence. Police say the suspects subsequently took phones that belonged to 3 different family members and fled the scene in a dark-colored SUV. 2 of the phones were later found discarded nearby. The victim, previously identified as 46-year-old Abdul Alim Farouki, was pronounced deceased at the scene. At this time, it is believed the house was specifically targeted for a robbery. We are still looking into any and all motives behind the robbery, but currently we believe this to be based on monetary gain only, Inspector Paulo Fiar said during Wednesday's news conference. Mr. Farouk was not in any way involved in criminal activities by all accounts, and from speaking with members of the community, Mr. Farouki was well respected, a great family man, and loved by his community. This is it is sad. Now there's nothing funny about this. It is deeply concerning because this seems to be plaguing Canada right now, is this uptick in crime, and we cannot seem to get a handle on it. And the response from the authorities is even more sickening, if I'm being honest. Not as sickening as the act of a man being murdered in front of his family. It's actually, I don't find that amusing or hilarious by any means at all. That's actually it's very sad to think about that this is Canada now, and it seems like we just have to accept this, because the authorities seem to have a different way of going about it. Now, I understand that many of our political figures at one point during a time when an individual in America seemed to have been murdered by the police, or say what you want, an overdose by fentanyl, whatever it may be. Now, I'm not here to sit here and go through any sort of autopsies. I am not in a position or have a degree to go and decipher that information, okay? This is a silly willy podcast that's center left, and we are here to just discuss the nation of Canada, not anything that happens in America, which we will talk about America later in the podcast, but that's a cliffhanger to keep you around. But anyways, now this happens, right? It shakes a community to its core, because it could have been you. Now, they say that this is targeted. Is it targeted or is it not? We don't know. We don't know the motives. They don't know the motives. They say it was for monetary gain only. This gentleman then steps up to the plate to try and defend his family and is murdered by these grotesque individuals, these three losers, right? That's what happens. And the police response to this is something that is rather concerning. At this point in time, you cannot rely on the police, which is insane. This is we shouldn't have these issues in a world like Canada, in this great nation of Canada. This should not be something that is of concern. You shouldn't worry that on a Saturday night while you're hanging out with your family, or, after a great day of going to the park and spending it with your loved ones, that three masked individuals are going to kick in your back door and murder you as you try to protect them. It's sad. It's very sad. And these type of crime sprees are sprouting all across the GTA area. It's spreading across major cities all across the nation, and they are advocating and attempting to convince you that protecting your family is not the not the move. Sorry, did I say mood right there? Not the move. It is not the move, but instead, let's bring up what the police chief of York, the Yorkton Police or York Regional Police Chief Jim McSewan, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Uncle Hack podcast, giving us exact details on what to do if somebody kicks in the back door of your home.
No, I have no concerns. The Premier can make his own statement and his own mind up about that. What I would say is, as a police service, we'll follow the laws as they're written. If the laws change, we'll change with the laws. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. As you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations.
Is to comply. Because as we've seen just recently, a man defended his home by stabbing an individual that came into his home in the evening. Once again, similar to the case that we just read prior to our wonderful police chief here, that the best defense for most people is to comply. Instead, you cannot put your faith in any police services to show up in a timely manner as you are at gunpoint. You call 911, we'll get there when we can. Until then, we just, if you can, ask these assailants if they don't mind tying you up just a little looser than last time. Just if you could make the knots just a little less aggravating. I have a very sensitive skin, and I didn't moisturize before you came in here, and the rope burn, it's rather uncomfortable. In fact, I'll help you load up some of the items inside of my house. If you free my hands, by all means, I'll comply. I'll help you. You need the keys to my car? Here's the spare set. Here's my cell phone. Here's my daughter's cell phone, my wife's cell phone, my son's laptop, his tablet. You're going to need the iPad. We do not have a landline, so no worry there. Security system, it's already off. I mean, I was just about to set it, and thankfully you came at this time, or else I don't know what I would do at this particular moment. Do you want me to turn it off, the alarm? Do you want to keep it on? Do you need some suspense? Is there some excitement with the wee, wee, wee noise in the background while you hold us all at gunpoint? Does that make this more feel like a robbery? Or do you prefer silence and sobbing from my loved ones? Is that what you prefer? I'm here to accommodate you as best as I possibly can, seeing as you took time out of your day to kick in my back door and come and rob some of the items of mine. And don't worry, I'm not here. I'm here to comply, as this great, wonderful, respected individual of our community has told me to give you a hand with whatever you need. And that's what I'm here to do. Thankfully, I am an upstanding citizen of this region. I listen to those in a position of power, a position of authority as well. And you know what? I am here. You need me to call a U-Haul? I know it's a little more costly to get one at this time at night, but I'm willing to do that. I am willing to do that for you. For a nice criminal like yourself, you came in here. Look, we can put the guns down. You don't need to be putting that weapon in my face. There's no need for that. What are you doing? We're friends here. You silly goose. We can get along just fine.
Will allow for those that are victimizing members in the community to leave and not harm anyone. It sometimes can fall on deaf ears when members feel like they have to take matters into their own hands. And
this is a sketch. In a sane world, right? In a sane world, this is a sketch. This is comedy in the 90s. This is comedy in the 90s. This is something that you would see on Kids in the Hall or SCTV back in 1994. This would be a sketch. It is now reality. This guy is 100% serious as he tells you this, and it's concerning, isn't it? My mind is melting. I can feel brain matter oozing out of my ears. Just by it's going to start seeping out. I can feel it. It's going to cause an electrical fucking disruption in these headphones and hopefully shock me to death. I hope that I lay here lifeless on this podcast and somehow, some way, somebody comes in and uploads it to YouTube. And the last episode is me listening to the police chief describe how you can just comply with whatever person invades your home, these home invaders that are kicking in your back door, and just the best thing to do is not take matters into your own hands. Simply call, if you can, 911 and just allow these people to do as they please. You know, why? I pray that the ooze coming out of my brain somehow short circuits these fucking headphones and it electrocutes me to death when I listen to something like this. And they wonder why most of Canadians now are infuriated with anybody that is in a position of authority or in a position that is like an elected official, because everything is falling on deaf ears. He says that, while we tell this and it falls on deaf ears. Yeah, because everything that you've done in the past to get us to here has fallen on deaf ears on your behalf from the community and your constituents saying like, hey, we got a problem here. We got a problem here. And then you don't do anything. And they're like, well, it's all Donald Trump's fault. We're tired of hearing about Donald Trump's fault. Only the lunatics are out there being like, yeah, it's Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump kicking in my back? Is Donald Trump loading up these people? Whoever is kicking in the back door. Now, we can make assumptions all we want. We don't know who's kicking in the back door, right? We don't know who's doing that right now until there's an arrest made, and if there's an arrest made. But now you are told, to just be the victim of violence and armed robbery and just to sit there and take it. And you wonder why. And you wonder why we've become a very laughable. We're on the world stage. We are laughed at quite frequently, is because this comes out and then people go, "This is insane. This is insane." There's no laws in place that hey, you can use any form of self-defense inside your own home. No. You can get arrested if you do that. You can get arrested. It's lunacy. It's lunacy, is it not? Are we living? We're living in this like simulation of like a Leslie Nielsen movie almost. It's like anybody that is, like I said, in a position of power just seems to be like a Looney Tunes type character. Someone who you would look at and think to yourself, there's no way that this person is saying this with the intent of moving somebody and being like compelling with his words and just like really striking the emotional center of an individual's brain, and they're like, yeah, what he's saying is exactly what I'm feeling at this moment in time. I will sit back and allow these individuals to take all the items inside of my home. It's insane. It's insane. Like I said, you tell this to an American, they'll be like, God dang, you think I'm going to sit back and let somebody take my property? I'm going to blow the motherfucker away. I'm going to bust cap in his ass. I ain't playing around here. There ain't no games to be played. Like, see, we've watched American arrogance try to, like, there was this attempt to try and stifle it and nip it in the bud. So we've missed it for the past decade, right? We've missed there's not this patriotism that we've seen in 2001 after a very big event that took place, right? And that level of American patriotism is kind of like dissipated over the years, and it's like now plummeted. It's almost like, and it's like watching Bitcoin take a dump, and then all of a sudden it shoots back up. And right now, like you with the quote unquote mega, you're seeing like American patriots being like, yeah, goddamn America. You hear it again. You're like, America. And I don't know if that has anything to do with Donald Trump or if maybe like a Republican government giving like people that do love America, because it seems like Republicans in this time, I don't know. I don't know American history that well, but like Democrats, I've never really seen be like, yeah, America. Maybe in like 2001 where like the whole country came together. But now it's like that sphere. They have, and then those are the ones that hear this type of shit, and then they're like, Jesus Christ, what is going on there? How do you guys put up with that? And it's like, we wish we didn't have to. Unfortunately, we just, I guess, do for right now. I don't know. I don't know what to do, right? You tell them these things, and they're like, geez, Louise, you boys really go through it up there, don't you? It's like, yeah, and you just kind of, it's like bringing an embarrassing family member out in public, right? Around your friends, your peers, or you have like a family outing at a restaurant, and then there's like one family member and they don't know how to act right in public. They just can't like turn it down a dial, and they're just obnoxiously loud. And not in a fun way. You know, there's obnoxious loud in a fun way where you can join in and like, hey, the whole restaurant's kind of having fun with you because they're making big, loud jokes. This guy's a performer. He's an entertainer, right? Where this person just kind of brings the mood down. Like it's a lot of complaining. That's how you feel when you bring up Canada. That's like bringing Canada and you're like, oh yeah, well, things are going okay. The other day I got robbed for the 18th time in an hour. I'm really down to the nitty gritty here. They even stole my socks. I'm walking around barefoot these days. Yeah, it's a real tough go out here, but we're getting by, right? We're getting by. I just do what old police chief here, the whole York Regional Police told me that just bend over and, to make it a little better, put a little spit around the hole before they go in, and stops the tearing. Use your own lube. In fact, if you got your own lube kicking around, that's the best thing to do, right? Because you don't want to go in there and have him tearing up the old back door. He came in the back door and then he's going to come in the back door, and that's not really fun now, is it? Not necessarily gay, but I guess by force I have to be. And so I've went out and purchased a few bottles of water-based lubricant so that way, the forced entry of my back door could be a little fucking easier. stops the tearing. You know, you don't want to be going to a hospital at about 1 a.m., right? The wait times are ridiculous. By then, I'd probably bleed out rectally, and that ain't too fun. Can't really, don't want to call an ambulance. I don't have an additional $350 just kicking around to go and take an ambulance ride because my rectum is fucking torn right open, right? That ain't good. But so things are going okay, I guess. I know I gave you some depressing news, but we're doing the best we can to stay positive out there, right? Hopefully HIV negative, but we're staying positive in the brain. That's a Canadian describing the lay of the land right now. Let's see what this...
If we are going to rely on our community members to take matters into their own hands to solve this problem, we have all failed our community.
Yeah.
So I'll leave political comments to the politicians and let them have those conversations. But for now, the laws are written. We'll follow those laws.
But I guess you are hoping that people kind of heed your advice more than the premiers here, that if they do find themselves in this situation, that they should do the best they can to kind of stay away from the criminals. And
my advice is to rely on our police service, call 911 immediately, and let us take it from there. And we see more often than not when people comply that injuries are not happening, and people are not victimized in terms of injury, or in this case, unfortunately, we've seen the loss of life in some of these incidents.
Oh, God almighty. God almighty. That's what you get to look forward to. Hey, tourism in Canada. You want to come and fucking rob some people? You want to come kick in some front doors? You know how like every country has something that like provokes you, or like I remember when a lot of weed was still illegal. A lot of people would go to Amsterdam, go for the marijuana brownies out in Amsterdam. For a while there, it was like, hey, come to Canada, Banff. You go to Banff, Toronto. That's where Drake's from. Vancouver. You can get syphilis from just a handrail. You can get that. You can get chlamydia from walking upstairs. It's the only place in the world that it can happen in. You can get AIDS by looking at a menu in a Starbucks. Now it's like the nation has something altogether. You come to Canada, commit crimes, commit felonies, and you can just leave. That's what you can do now. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful country. You can do literally whatever you want. It's a Motley Crue music video. Act as you wish. There's no repercussions whatsoever. However, if you criticize the government, you'll go to jail. No, we're not. I have a feeling we're getting there. I have a feeling we're getting there. I think we're right around the corner. We're watching it right now in the United Kingdom, that people over posting some nefarious things about the current regime, that they're going to prison. Meanwhile, you can hold a knife to a woman's throat and take what you want, literally. Like, you can do whatever you want and you can be released. Now, granted, that you have to have a certain status, but we're not going to get into that. We all know, right? It's crazy. Some of the headlines that are coming out of these places in Australia now, like you're pushing people to a breaking point, and a lot of people are getting upset, and they can't wrap their heads around that. It's like you've wrote so many laws that the laws contradict themselves to the point where it's complete confusion. And I believe that's by design. You're supposed to be walking around just in a constant state of confusion. Just as long as you are an obedient citizen that wakes up, goes to work, pays his taxes, and shuts the fuck up, you can live a nice life. But we got a little bit of a twist to that. Some of our sitting politicians feel that they need a raise for, implementing these laws, passing these laws, putting in new rules in place that make your life a little bit difficult rather than help your life, So what we're going to have to do here, folks, is raise your taxes. We are going to have to raise your taxes due to, the hard work that we're putting in. We got to have vacation homes. We got to have properties, rental properties. We got to have nice cars. You got to pay for our transportation all across the country. And if we want to travel abroad, you got to pay for that too. We need security because, all the things that we have been doing for these past years have caused you to be a little upset. So we're going to have to pay special forces to follow us around. Because God forbid, we do something correct. Why would I want to walk around in public and not be scared? What do you mean? I want to feel like you. That's what we're doing here. You see, do you see how this all works, folks? If I'm a politician, I'm in a position of power and I can influence the laws that are in this country, right? Why would I want to do something that would help you? I want to feel like you. I want to instill some anger and fear in you, and that's where I get the justification, or, I can justify the reasoning of raising your taxes so I can feel safe in public when you are angrily yelling at me. It works in a perfect circle. It's very, it's just a very, it's a synergy. As they say in the big office buildings, that's synergy, folks, and we're working together. It's all in the same ecosystem. It's all going to be good, great, and grand. Speaking of which, with the big decisions being made here in my home province here in Alberta, the big thing right now is there's books being banned. The Alberta Premier says new order banning school library books with sexual content coming soon. Minister had sent email pausing action on ministerial order earlier Tuesday. The Alberta government had hit pause on its order for the removal of books with explicit sexual content from the libraries, but the Premier says that pause will be short-lived. Speaking at an unrelated news conference on Tuesday, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said the new rules are on the way. It'll be paused for a couple of hours while the ministerial order is rewritten. The direction will be to take books with pornographic images out of the libraries and to leave the classics alone. I think that it was some misunderstanding of the order, so it's made clear. Smith said school boards can expect a new order soon. We are hoping that the school boards will understand what we're trying to achieve. Oh, yeah. Isn't this something? We're banning books. We're banning books with pornographic images in it. What does that even mean? The email, here we go. The email does not state for the pause, but says more information will be provided as soon as possible. Smith was more blunt in a subsequent post on X, formerly Twitter. Jesus. I'm going to be more explicit than usual, so there's no misunderstanding on the policy. 1, get pornographic images out of the school libraries. Leave the classics on the shelves. 3, we all know the difference between the items in 1 and 2. Let's not play any more games in implementing this policy for our kids, she wrote. This seems very similar to when the libs came out and they had the gun ban, and then all of a sudden the list of guns, and you seen in there, and I believe that Black Rifle Coffee, I don't know if that was true or not. I think it was debunked saying that it wasn't at some point in time. That there was coffee listed, and then there was some airsoft guns in there as well. They didn't really know what they were doing. It was just kind of a show of force, a little bit of hey, we can do this if we want to, and the same like this. What child, let's be honest, let's cut to the nonsense here. All of us have cell phones or access to the internet. I would assume that a feed, one of the feeds in your child's Instagram is much more sexual than any of these books that they are concerned about. Now, if I was let's say if I was allowed to talk to some youths, right? Let's say I was allowed to be around them, right? Let's say I could have a conversation with somebody under the age of 18 without an adult around. right? Let's say that. Let's play hypothetical here for a little bit. Let's have some fun, right? Let's go into your deep imagination. Let's make up a scenario we can all laugh at. A child and I are having a little discussion, and I go, hey, maybe I'm a child as well in this to make it less weird. Let's say that. Let's say I'm a child and I'm talking to my buddy, right? And then it's less weird because I feel like the question I was about to ask, I thought about it afterwards, and it would be very weird, very odd for me to ask this question. And I look at my buddy and I go, hey, you're not going to believe it. I found some tits in one of the books in the library. And he looks back at me and he's like, what? Why don't we just look at it on our phones? And I go, why didn't I think of that? I was going to go in and I was going to read The Handmaid's Tale so that way I could get hard. Boy, oh boy, it's nice to have a good friend around. Could you imagine that? How embarrassing that's got to feel as a child, as you know. Thank God Daniel Smith is getting in front of it to make sure that there are age-appropriate books. Now, there is a list of the books that have been, and some of them will blow your mind. I mean, Jesus Christ, these books, they need to be out of the school. Some of these books, I can't believe that they're in there. Some of them have been released, and let's take a look. Materials with sexual images. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit so I can see it from... Now, this is going to get fun, folks. All right. We have a novel. A novel. American Roommate Experiment. Never read it. American Gods. Never read it. Okay. Now it's a novel. We got novels. Oh, we got manga. Japanese cartoons have titties in it. Blackbird 1-18 by the looks of it. Oh, no, there's some missing. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 were fine. They're still on the shelves at the local libraries. But then Kanoka Sakurajora Koji. Sakura Koji. There we go. Kanora Sakakoji then decided in issues 10, 11, skip 12, 13, 14, skip 15, 16, 17, and issue 18 that he was going to put some sexual content back in there. But thank God the UCP government is on top of these things because we can't have kids looking at this type of filth in the library. Could you imagine your son, your daughter, your they, your them, your Z, your zer? I know, lowbrow joke. Lowbrow joke, I get it. Non-binary. Let's see what he did. What are you, a Black Hawk helicopter? What do you identify as, a toaster? GE or LG? I'm killing. The non-binary stuff crushes with these guys. Well, I identify as a hot dog with no cock.
Come on, man.
I know. But God forbid your child walks into the library and says, I want to look at anime titties. You know what? I'd grab Danielle Smith by the throat and I'd say, you know what? You did the right decision because my child only wants to look at real tits on their iPad when I'm not around and monitoring their internet usage. That's where they need to be looking at the tits, is when they're at home, not in the school. And now we have how many these materials are to be removed from all libraries, accessible from students in kindergarten through grade 12. It is funny that, like, you know, some of these kids, oh, never mind, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are in there. My apologies to those that banned all these. We got a lot of graphic novels, one called Blankets. What is Blankets by Craig Thompson? Are we able to get a read on this? Jesus. A novel? So there's tits in the novel? Or is it a description? Or is it describing the sexual acts that are taking place? We're going to get to the bottom of this. It's a lot of novels, graphic novels, a short story. Friend of my youth. That sounds like a pedophile. A friend of your youth. Let's bring that down a little. A Game of Thrones. Gender queer. We got to get that one out of there. Get your gender queer out of here. You know, it is funny that the The Godfather? Come on. Some of these books in here just blow my mind. This is why I'm glad that this government is in place. We can't be having this. The kids are going into the library to jack off. That's all you're doing in the library, aren't you? You're going in there to look at this type of content. This is insanity. You know what? I've given up on the world. I have, and all I'm going to do is sit back and laugh. And I hope you join me. I hope you join me, because this is what is of major concern for many of our politicians that are high up there. The intention of this ministerial order was to remove materials from school libraries, and that's exactly what it's going to do. Winston said, just because a book has sexually explicit material doesn't mean it's not developmentally, Jesus Christ, developmentally, this is why I shouldn't be commentating on anything, okay? Appropriate for teenagers. What specific book banning lists are going to do is limit the amount of material that's available to students. Limit the amount. We forget, like, this is the issue I have with this. It's like, do we forget that the internet exists? Do we forget that? Is this not, like, are we not wrapping our heads around that aspect? Is that the internet exists? Like, children are watching. Like, listen, when I had access to dial-up internet in the late 90s. Early 2000s, right? And the things that I got up to there as a teenager, okay? As a teenager, a young adult would make an adult at that time blush. And I think that's what we all used the internet for in that era of time. I think that's what we all did. It was just like to look up the nastiest things you possibly could get. There was websites like Faces of Death. We all recall that. A lot of us were fans of Faces of Death, and we'd go there and watch these very gruesome videos of death, murder, suicide, pictures of crime scenes. It was very grotesque stuff, and we all soaked it in as young adults. In fact, we were trying to scare one another with it. We found it funny with my group of friends. That was funny to us. We were very immature. Still am, in case you're wondering. And a lot of us, moved on and we found different websites once that one was taken down, and we would share it amongst ourselves. Still do. Because that's how sick and twisted we are. But we had access to the internet. I never thought to myself, I'm going to go to the library to figure out which manga book has tits in it, you know? We went out to the forest where perverts would leave their magazines. There was a plethora of just nudies out in woods. It blew my mind. It was just like weirdos out there. And you would stumble across it. And you'd have to sift through carefully, of course, but I remember there was a tree house in this cut line, right? And this tree house is where all the neighborhood kids would bring their dirty novels, right? So we had our own library. We weren't reliant on the school's library. We had our own library of Playboys, Penthouses, Fox 49s, all the good stuff. We had the goods out there. We would... and we'd share it amongst our peers. You would never take one home because that was kind of an unwritten rule, right? It was an unwritten rule. And we had all sorts of material to fall back upon. You didn't want to be on the family computer because it was always in an area in the house that was highly monitored. There was always somebody around to get a jack off at the family computer was rather tough. So we would be reliant on one another to provide this type of material. Are you going to ban that? Do kids even do that anymore? Does that even exist now that we have cell phones? We're putting cell phones in fucking 10-year-olds' hands and expect us not to, we scratch our heads. We're like, I can't believe my child was looking at DPs. I can't believe my child knows what a bukkake is at the age of 12. Well, you got an unchecked fucking phone. You gave this kid access to anything on the planet. And what do you think he was going to do? Look up fucking how toothpicks are made? No, that's what you do in your late 40s when everything is like your dopamine has crashed. You watch that show, How Things Are Made, and you just sit there and you stare at the TV, and as every day passes, your gut gets a little larger. And it's like, oh, that's interesting, right? Those shows were made for people that have gave up. When you're a youth, you want to explore the dark areas of life. Murder. You want sex, graphic sex, and it does something to your cranium. And I get what they're trying to do, but now we have these things in our hands. We have these small computers. They have the computing power that exceeds anything that we had in the late 90s. Right there at your fingertips. And you can do everything you could possibly think of inside your home at that time on this thing when it comes to any form of entertainment. Music, gaming. You have you can live stream. If you tried running a webcam on dial-up internet, you were insane. You had to wait till remember when high speed came out and you had webcams and it was like pixelated and you would try and like, you'd be like, oh fuck, I wonder if any girls want to show their tits because you had raging hormones going through your body. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can go to a specific website. In fact, all of the social media apps, there is an area in there where you could probably see a titty. There is always a titty a swipe away. You can search it. You can hashtag it. Find it. And it's right there. Right in front of your eyes. Right in front of your dumb fucking face. You're dumb and you drool. You stare at it. Oh, God, I can't believe that. You know what I mean? It's right there, just destroying everything that was in your head. And you had this beautiful life, and now it just sucked you in. This vortex has you, and you just drool, and you're staring at some girl that's walking down the street with triple D tits, no bra on, a short, low V-cut dress, and just put an extra heel in her step so that way her titties bounce, and you go, what color was the dress? And you have to you sit there like an idiot. I don't know what the color of the dress was. And you write your funny comment, and you move on. And then the algorithm's like, oh, he must like that if he commented on it and he watched it 6 times, so he feeds you more and more and more and more. And you don't think that they're doing that to the kids? The kids aren't walking in the library and being like, hey, look at this. They banned It. They banned It by Stephen King. The clown novel. The clown novel. A Stephen King novel. That's what they banned. That's what they did on this list. That's the big issue. That's the big issue. Your kid is going to go home and watch it on film. They're going to watch the film on Netflix, the new one and the old one. You can pick. Isn't that crazy? It's right there. It's crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't. Oh God, Jesus. My kid is watching It, but he can watch the movie, but God forbid he reads the fucking novel written by that libtard Stephen King. It's so insane we've gotten. We've gotten so insane. We're insane. And I know, like some of you probably that listen to this lean a little more conservative, and that's fine, but this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, is that we're sitting around discussing what should be in the school library. No, who goes to the fucking library? I don't even think kids go to the library to try and convince. You know what? I will say this. First pair of cans I ever seen was in a school library. You gonna ban that? I will say that. I'm not gonna name names. I was a youth. I'm airing some personal stuff here. And this is a true story. I swear to God. I was in grade 6. I was in a school that was from grade 6 to grade 12. One of the grade 11s, grade 12s said, hey, come here. And he thought it'd be funny, right? He thought it was funny. And he got one of the girls that he was with to stand up and show her cans. And 3 of us stood there like jaws on the floor. First set we ever seen in the wild, okay? It was a different time back then. This is 2002, 2001, 2002. If I'm being, I believe, right around there. Yeah, it would be right around there. And we talked about that for a year. And that happened in a school library. In the school library. Now, did we go into the library thinking that would happen again? Yes. 100%. We did do that. We went into the school library every chance that we could get for the off, maybe, just maybe it might happen, because you're wishful. You had hope. I never hoped to go in there and stumble across a novel that I'd have to read the description of sexual intercourse. No. I wanted it in real life. That's why I went in there. And now I'm looking at this list of banned books as if I'm supposed to be like, what? I'm not going to read these. You know what I mean? I'm not going to read them. I am a bumbling fucking idiot that can barely get through some of these articles because I don't know what half the words are. And you expect me to sit here and just be like, hoorah behind a book ban? When meanwhile, your child has probably watched Bonnie Blue fuck 1,000 men in one day. That's the unfortunate reality that we have to exist in. And parents, you need to quit being so fucking naive because this is ridiculous. To me, this is ridiculous. To sit here and think that this was the move and you get a fucking applaud like, yeah, that Daniel Smith really did it this time. I'm sorry, but I just can't anymore. I can't anymore with any of these politicians. We just had to watch, what's his nuts? What did Pierre come out? And he was like, Pierre ends the... I want that. And then the temporary foreign workers program. He wants that to end. And you missed the mark. You missed the mark. I want the video. Where is a short form? Pierre calls on. I want the short form. Where's the short form? Give me that. Pierre calls it. Here we go.
Simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first. The principle is very simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first. Canada always. That's why Conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently scrap the temporary foreign worker program and to stop issuing visas for any new temporary foreign workers coming into the country. Under this proposal, existing permits would be wound down until the program is entirely eliminated. Canadian jobs will go to Canadian workers first. It's time that Mr. Carney took the job seriously of repairing the damage that his party has done. Unfortunately, the immigration minister who destroyed the program and caused this mess is now Mark Carney's justice minister. You can believe it. He's now gone from creating a housing crisis as housing minister, an immigration crisis as immigration minister, to creating a crime crisis as justice minister. It's the same Liberal team with the same Liberal results. Just a different face who's even worse than the last one. July's employment data has confirmed that what Mr. Carney's economy is doing to our youth. 14.6% unemployment, 1.6 million Canadians unemployed. According to CIBC, that the levels of employment are normally what you would see in a, quote, a recessionary period. Yet the Liberals are still bringing in the workers from abroad to take jobs from people here at home.
Where were these talking points when you were campaigning? Did I miss them? Were they not? Was it just didn't seem so? It wasn't prevalent in any of his campaigns stops. The concerns of Canadians were there. A lot of people that would lean conservative, this was an issue that they had from what I'd seen online. This seems to be like what they were talking about the most. And now, seeing as I don't vote, I'm going to be honest, I don't vote. I don't go out and vote because I have yet to see anybody that really caters to what I believe in. I don't pick teams. I find all of them grotesque. I don't care enough to listen to many of these individuals talk because now it was almost like it was by design. It seems like I sounded a little bit like by design. Like he failed so miserably. He failed so miserably representing the Conservatives of the country that he lost. What was it? Like a record amount of fucking points. He was a shoo-in at one point. And then Mark Carney just comes in and whoop, takes it from him. It's interesting. All of this is interesting, Because now he wants to start talking about this resurgence of a new hero. Like you're supposed to put the idea in your head that somehow a suit and tie is going to be the hero that saves us all, whether it's a banker, a politician, a career politician, some of that, and anybody that rises from the ashes and is actually a folk hero. We're not allowed folk heroes, right? Anybody who does something good is like justified in their actions, and their actions come from a good-hearted place, whether or not we agree with them or not. Is it's subjective at most. You get it, whatever. It is subjective, because how you view the world could be different to somebody else. And I know this is kind of a hippy-dippy way of looking at it, but like, I find it interesting now that all of a sudden that this is a talking point. I think what these guys are worried of is what's taking place in the United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia. There's other places, I believe New Zealand as well. Is that immigration has now sparked a surge in, what do you call it, right-wing groups, and the way they're handling a lot of the situations that are over there is that you're seeing people that are very patriotic of the country, and they want the best for the country. They want the best for their British citizens or the Australians, and they are being persecuted for having that level of patriotism that they have for their country, and they're being arrested and in some circumstances jailed for voicing their opinions. And you're seeing like immigrants in some countries committing mass crimes, that some of which are like very disheartening and very hard to read. Like when it involves like a young child, it's not like, I don't giggle at that. It's like, oh God, oh. Your stomach should churn. It shouldn't be something that's so prevalent in your society, like you shouldn't have to be out and protesting it, like this shouldn't be something that you have to live with. Because immigration has been taking place here for a number of years, and a lot of people have assimilated to Canadian culture, Canadian customs, Canadian, like what this place is. And it's just now like it's at the boiling point. It's gotten to where a lot of people are noticing a drastic change, and now they're voicing their concerns. And I think like what we're going to see is a lot of these guys standing at podiums telling you how you think and how you should feel are going to feel the fear that there's going to be an uprising of Canadians that are upset of the current state of the country. Because we are seeing, and we have to be honest about a lot of these conversations. Is the problem is I don't think that it's a race thing. I don't think like if you're racist to bring up like, yeah, like this, it seems to be a majority of this population is committing this crime. How is that? They're putting it in the police report. It's part of the statistic, and then you comment on it or you bring it up. It's not that my intent isn't to be like, my intent here is to make this statistic known. It's like, but you can't have your pie and eat it too, or cake and eat it too, whatever that saying is, I guess. It's insane. It's insanity. We've gotten to a point of no return, and I think like a lot of people are going to be feeling the hurt, feeling the pain, feeling the struggle here in the next little while, financially. And then when that starts to happen, I think a lot of people are already going through it. You look for somewhere to displace that anger. And when you put that anger towards individuals, right? Things start to happen. Some people are upset. People are pissed. Young people are pissed. They can't afford a home. They're kind of giving up. They don't care. They don't want to, why you want to create anything? Why do you want to be a part of anything? Why do you want to contribute? You know, there's the future is grim. You can't own a house. You know, your careers are limited. You can't get an entry-level job. And then if you do, you're overworked. You can't afford anything. You got to live with 4 roommates in a 2-bedroom house, right? Some people are being like abused in the manner of like they can't afford to live. So some of these places that are up for rent they're being like sexually trafficked. It's sad. It's grotesque. It's sad. We have overheated and we're going to end the episode. Head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/DangerCat69. We will see you on the Patreon. We got plenty more to talk about there. And good night, everybody.